but I said that at the beginning of this year as well. And it certainly has disappointed us this year. It did well last year. Silver was up north of 40%, gold about 25%. But this year certainly has been a disappointment. I think that disappointment is because either two things. People believed in Powell thinking that inflation is transitory, and they still believe it. I think that's proven to be wrong. And they thought, okay, well, if inflation's not, well, the Fed's going to be tightening. And why do I want to own gold and silver in a tightening cycle? Even though it's clear that any tightening that's going on is not going to happen for a while, and that real rates are still firmly negative, and that inflation is running far faster than the Fed's desire to tighten monetary policy. Therefore, I think the action that really started the day after the Fed meeting a few weeks ago, when people were reminded of the issue that the Fed has in tackling inflation, or I should say their unwillingness to do so, that's when gold and silver really have gotten a bid. And I believe that the consolidation this year of the 2020 rally is pretty much over, and that we're going to resume our upward trend.
So, Peter, I've heard you say before that you like investing in the picks and shovels in a way of, let's say, Bitcoin and also gold and silver. Is that basically one of the best ways that you think to invest and put your money in this environment?
Well, gold and silver, I'll invest directly in owning physical, but also owning the miners. On the picks and shovel side, with respect to the crypto world, is I'm more interested in learning about the build out of the whole crypto infrastructure and where DeFi is going than trying to figure out where the price of Bitcoin is going. And there are definitely a lot more people that are smarter and more sophisticated than me on this. But to me, whether Bitcoin goes to 600,000 or $600, the crypto build out is going to take place nonetheless. So that's where my focus is. But for others, speculating on Bitcoin, all power. I mean, when I've said this before, that gold bulls and Bitcoin bulls are soulmates in terms of being anti-central bank and anti-monetary debasement and money printing and believing in the value of something that is somewhat finite in nature. So there is a commonality in terms of one's belief structure here. I think it's just up to the individual to choose how they want to play it.
So in your belief, Peter, I know I've heard you say before that gold bulls and Bitcoin bulls are soulmates, but you don't think that Bitcoin takes too much capital away from the gold industry?
I mean, there could be some of that, but the both are still so small compared to when you look at the basket of financial assets, that they're just almost irrelevant. So to say that Bitcoin is going to take from gold, well, it can be money from fixed income, where people are going to be, in purgatory, in owning fixed income. Money can come from there into Bitcoin and gold. It doesn't have to stay within this small universe of Bitcoin or gold. They can be very much complementary to each other. And I just want to tell people that I don't think people appreciate when an asset is around for 5,000 years. 5,000 years, you've been through a lot. You've been through world wars. You've been through the evolution of mankind. You've been through depressions. You've been through hyperinflation. You've been through deflation. You've been through everything, pretty much. When you've been around for 13 years, you really haven't been through that much. What you've been through is, an extraordinary bubble in monetary inflation around the world. That's what you've been through. But that's it. So to tell me that Bitcoin's going to replace gold is just complete nonsense to me.
And that really points towards let's say, the speculative nature and not the store of value that some argue that Bitcoin is, right?
Bitcoin can be a store of value. Maybe it is a store of value. Maybe there's a long runway. Maybe Bitcoin can last another 5,000 years. I'm just saying that then when people say that Bitcoin's going to replace gold, it just has no appreciation for how long 5,000 years is relative to how long 13 years is.
When we look at the current environment of rising input costs, Peter, going forward, could this affect the gold miners negatively and shrink their margins?
Well, I think we saw that in Q3 earnings. Companies dealing with hits to margin. whether it's the cost of big Caterpillar trucks and leasing them or owning them, or the cost of fueling them and the cost of pretty much everything. Mm-hmm. But luckily for them, there's still a large margin between their all-in sustainable cost and the price of gold. So there's still plenty of cushion there in terms of profit margins, but no one is immune to from a cost perspective, the inflation that we're currently experiencing.
So could the slowdown in global economic growth affect the industrial demand side of the equation for silver and prevent it from rising appreciably?
I don't think anything's stopping the secular drive towards electric vehicles and solar panels and electronic products, where silver's a great source of connectivity. I don't think anything changes that. Now, on a cyclical basis, maybe, but from a secular standpoint, I think little chance of that. Now, if silver goes to $50 to $70, and all of a sudden these producers are going to scramble because they can't afford to pay that for silver, maybe they try to find some alternatives, but certainly not at $25 silver.